Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. The room is warm. Laughter, soft lights, clinking glasses. You mistake warmth for safety. You arrive 7 minutes late. Collar wilted, phone in hand. You hug the wrong person first. You speak before you're seated. You think charm will erase the small cuts, one by one. It doesn't. It tallies them. A senior glances at a watch. A host's smile tightens half a shade. The table closes ranks by inches. You do not feel, your stories run long. Your punchlines land heavy. When the check comes, you reach too slowly, then too eagerly. No one scolds you. No one needs to. Courts do not shout. Courts remember, tomorrow the message arrives, let's circle back. They will not. You were friendly at a campfire that did not exist. Courts, not campfires. Public life is a hall of mirrors and ledgers. People keep score with signals, time, dress, distance, voice. The ones who matter notice what you ignore. Creases in sleeves, control of pace, whether you let silence breathe or fill it with nervous smoke. In an office, a dinner, a wedding, you are measured by your grip on form. Form tells them what it costs to deal with you. Form whispers whether you can be trusted with a secret, a budget, a sister's ear. This is not cruelty, it is governance. A court survives by reading cues. If you fail to read, you are read aloud. Once, then never again. Etiquette is not niceness. It is power friction. Friction is the difference between a dull blade and a clean cut. Good etiquette lowers the energy required to move the room where you need it. You spend fewer words and get faster yeses because your presence answers questions before they are asked. Are you on time? Yes. Are you prepared? Yes. Do you leak? No. When etiquette is tight, your requests travel on rails. You conserve strength because you are not repairing impressions. You broke with sloppiness. You say one sentence. Doors open. You change chairs, the agenda follows. People infer competence from order. They obey competence that costs them nothing to obey. This is why the sloppy are exhausted. They talk more and achieve less. They apologize in paragraphs for mistakes that a checklist would have prevented. They seek forgiveness instead of building predictability. They think being real means being unstructured. They forget that structure is how others can breathe near you. When your manners are mechanical advantage, you stop fighting the room and start steering it. Less drag, more glide. The crown moves with small gestures because the hinges are oiled. Consider how leaks happen. You ramble and reveal, you joke to prove you belong, and your joke travels without you. You correct a friend in public to look sharp, and you dull your own edge. All of it is friction added by vanity. In contrast, proper forms cut waste. You answer briefly, log commitments, and let silence earn you respect. You think precisely, name, deed, deadline, and the ledger of goodwill grows with interest. Etiquette, in this sense, is infrastructure. Lanes, lights, and signs that keep collisions rare and speed lawful. Here is the promise, a code, not a mood. Entrances that announce control. Seating that telegraphs alliances. Speaking order that prevents hijack. Requests with deadlines and reciprocity. Thank yous that memorialize favors. Corrections that preserve face while tightening standards. Exits that close loops and leave no smoke. The code raises your price because it makes dealing with you efficient and predictable. Efficiency is a gift. Predictability is a contract. Together they become gravity. People orbit gravity. You do not need to become colder than stone. You need to become clearer than water. Warmth can remain, it just stops leading. Form leads, you choose when to smile, when to nod, when to pass, when to end. You do not explain your worth. You stage it. You do not beg for inclusion. You set a table and let them feel the weight of sitting there. The court is watching. Let them see nothing to fix and much to respect. Let your presence shorten meetings, sharpen language, and steady hands. Do not mistake kindness for access. Do not trade structure for charm. Build the code, wear it lightly, and walk rooms that once walked you. Be gracious, be brief, be exact. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. You are told to be yourself and respect will follow. It flatters your pride because it asks you to do nothing but breathe. But in politics, Identity without structure dissolves into access on demand. When you make yourself endlessly available, people pay you in compliments, not concessions. They treat you like a public fountain, refreshing, free, and forgettable. Authenticity is useful only when it travels inside hierarchy. Scarcity and schedule create shape. Roles make your presence expensive. Anchor who you are in where you sit. Give your time a doorway and a guard. In the office, instead of wandering desks to be helpful, you own a function with a calendar, a backlog, and a decision lane. You stop oversharing about moods and start publishing outcomes. Deadlines hit, costs cut, risks addressed. Your one-on-ones are for decisions, not therapy. Online, you stop posting every thought and release a weekly note tied to a theme you lead. Friends and strangers adjust. They no longer expect you on demand. They expect you by appointment. Your identity becomes a gate with a purpose, not a hallway with sofas. You still be yourself, but that self arrives in uniform, with authority and a deliverable. Beware the cheap intimacy of constant access. Oversharing turns your interior into public furniture. People respect gates. They respect time slots with names. Attach your identity to roles that meet needs. The person who signs off on security, the operator who closes projects, the organizer who fills rooms. When your presence is defined by responsibility, your authenticity becomes texture, not currency. You do not hide yourself. You house yourself in a structure that makes others move. Next comes politeness, disguised as virtue, when it is often submission and silk. Courtesy is a tool, compliance is a habit. Automatic yeses turn your spine into a handle anyone can pull. Predators are rarely monstrous, they are efficient. They test for softness and chart the route of least resistance. If you answer every ping within minutes, you have priced your time at zero. If you take every extra task to be nice, you teach the room that you carry unbilled labor. Your kindness becomes their infrastructure. They will swear they respect you while scheduling you into an early grave. Separate kindness from capitulation with scripts. A manager asks you to just take notes again because you are meticulous. Say, I'll capture action items today. We'll rotate note-taking so each person records once per month. Then send the rotation calendar. A client wants a free scope creep. Since we're partners, reply, happy to add that feature. It's 10 hours at the standard rate, delivery Friday. Would you like me to proceed? A friend presses for a loan framed as a favor. Answer, I don't do loans. I can gift a small amount today, no repayment expected. You remain kind, but the price of your yes becomes visible. Generosity is real when limits are real. Otherwise, you are just a soft road. Install an escalation ladder. Step 1, a gentle reminder with the original terms. Step 2, a firmer line with a cost. Late assets incur a 10% rush fee. Step 3, pause cooperation until the new terms are signed. Step 4, exit with a short, neutral note that protects your reputation and denies free theater to the other side. Document each step. Screenshots are shields. They deter future tests. The point is not coldness. It is clarity that can be repeated without drama. People respect the person who can say no the same way every time. Finally, the proverb that silence is golden. Sometimes it is. Often it is tin. Silence reads as poise when your authority is already known and your outcomes are pending. Silence reads as weakness when the hierarchy is fluid and rivals are loud. The crowd does not audit your soul, they watch signals. If your quiet comes with a visible policy, they infer control. If your quiet comes with nothing, they infer fear. Use a silent signal plus a visible policy. When attacked online, do not write poems. Post nothing for 24 hours while you gather proof. Then publish a short, impersonal note that links to your standing rule. We correct false claims once, evidence below. Future repeats trigger formal action. Provide the receipts, tag institutions, and move on. Your silence had a clock, and your voice had a blade. In the office, stop answering messages during deep work. Put the policy in your signature, focus block 10, 12. Responses after 2 p.m. Decline meetings that trespass on the block, and share the team guideline once. Calmly, quiet, paired with rule, looks like discipline. Quiet, without rule, looks like fear. Silence can also be a toll. Suppose a partner drifts on payment. You do not rage or plead, you stop delivering updates and move their project to the back of the queue. When they ask for status, you answer with the invoice and the clause they agreed to. If they pay, the machine restarts. If not, you exit with a neutral statement and protect your assets. You spoke by moving resources. People learn faster from gravity than from lectures. Across these myths, the mechanic is constant. Respect follows architecture, not appetite. Structure turns authenticity into command. Boundaries turn politeness into policy. Calibrated quiet turns silence into a signal that moves money and attention. You do not harden your heart. You harden your calendar, your contracts, and your consequences. You become scarce without becoming cold, helpful without being handled, quiet without being absent. Walk this path for a month and measure. Hours reclaimed, requests filtered, favors priced, meetings shortened, fewer apologies, clearer receipts. Your dignity stops begging and starts billing. People who valued you only when you were free will call you difficult. Wear it like a medal. Those who value outcomes will lean closer because you have become predictable, and predictability is a luxury in noisy markets. You will still be yourself, only now yourself has a door, a desk, and a key. Make yourself rare, price your help, and let silence carry a rule. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. You know this line, yet you still reach for smiles like a thirsty man reaches for salt water. The cup looks kind, the aftertaste is weakness. Rivals study that thirst. They don't need to outthink you if they can outneed you. Etiquette under pressure is not manners, it is strategy. You will either choose your tone or your wounds will choose it for you. Like me, hunger is the first string they pull. Praise chasing makes you talk too long, show up too often, and trade secrets for a laugh. You fill silence with opinions to avoid seeming small. You nod too quickly, agree too easily, and promise help you cannot afford. Gossip becomes your discount currency. You pay with someone else's dignity to buy a moment of belonging. The room accepts the payment and quietly writes down your price. Picture the team off-site. You arrive loud, swinging stories like lanterns. You answer questions nobody asked. You pile on jokes about a rival department, and the table leans in. It feels like warmth. It is surveillance. A competitor at the end of the table smiles and asks a soft question about next quarter's roadmap. You overshare to keep the heat. By morning, the insider summary is on your opponent's desk, signed by your mouth. Cut the string, replace applause with outcomes, track delivered results, not reactions, features shipped on time, error rates dropping, customer renewals, profit per hour, promises kept. Put these on a quiet dashboard. Only you and your core team see. Make etiquette serve the scoreboard. Speak when it advances delivery. Leave when presence adds no value. Limit public takes to subjects you own. When the itch to be liked rises, run a test. Will this sentence move a milestone? If not, swallow it and move on. Exclusion. Panic is the second labor. Fear of missing out buys the wrong table, the wrong deal, the wrong crowd. You hear about a private dinner and feel the old chill of being left off the bus in school. You rush to pay your way in buying tickets, buying favors, buying tolerance. The bill is constant, compromised terms, bent ethics, diluted focus. The table looks golden, the chair is rented. Walk into a scene, a venture partner texts, small gathering tonight, big names, limited seats, decide fast. You skip your prep and show up hungry for inclusion. The room hums. You accept a lopsided partnership just to keep the foam of access on your lip. Weeks later, the exclusive terms shackle your roadmap and bleed your margins. Another chair, same lesson, you paid for the feeling, not the outcome. Install thresholds in daylight. Decide before the invite what makes a room worth your time. Clear agenda, aligned incentives, real decision makers, agreed preparation, exit time. Right numbers, minimum margin, maximum discount, fair split of effort and reward, nights away from core work per quarter. If an offer breaks your thresholds, decline with grace, use absence as a tool. When you leave a seat empty, the room learns your price and often raises its offer. If they don't, your calendar just protected your margins. Practice graceful no's until they become a style. Short, warm, final, thank you. Focus and timing don't allow it. Wishing you a strong event, or appreciate the invite. Terms don't fit our model. If conditions change, I'm open next quarter. No apologies, no essays, no nervous compliments. When exclusion panic knocks, answer with thresholds. Not emotion, the right circles respect borders. The wrong circles test them. Now the oldest echo, humiliation memory. An old embarrassment hides like a live wire under the carpet. A tone, a smirk, a sideways remark, and your foot finds it. Shock. Your present shrinks to a replay of yesterday's shame. You overcorrect. You fire off a sarcastic jab or a loud brag or a public scold. The room goes quiet. You think you reclaimed status. You only confirmed instability. Rivals mark the trigger and wait to touch it again on camera. Map the wire. Name in plain words the scenes that kink your judgment. Being interrupted, laughed at, ignored after speaking, someone taking credit, a delayed reply, a public correction. Next to each, write the reflex it summons, ranting, snide jokes, resume recitation, sudden promises, reckless challenges. This is not therapy, it is tactics. If you can predict your own storm, you can shelter before it hits. Install a 60-second ritual. Breathe, classify, choose proportion. Breathe first, 5 in, 5 out, twice. Put a palm on wood or metal to anchor the body in the room, not in the past. Classify second, is this a probe, a recruit, or a dethrone move? A probe tests your boundary, it wants to learn your line. A recruit tries to pull others into laughing at you. A dethrone attempts to seize the microphone and rewrite the frame. Proportion third, match response to category and risk. For probes, state one calm rule and return to the agenda. For recruitment, split the crowd. Some of you may share that concern. Here's the plan and where I need help. For dethronement, restore frame or end the exchange. We'll return to outcomes. If we can't, we'll close here. Make the ritual public inside your team so they can defend it. Assign a lieutenant the right to call cooling time. Give permission to end a meeting, mute a thread, or walk you to a break. This is not weakness. It is generalship. An army retreats not to flee, but to pick terrain. Tie the 3 wounds together, and you see one engine need. Need to be liked, need to belong, need to erase old shame. Need makes you loud when you should be quiet, present when you should be scarce, and hot when you should be cold. Your enemies do not argue with need. They irrigate it. They flood the room with compliments, exclusive doors, and tiny humiliations until your etiquette becomes their script. You think you are networking. You are rehearsing on their stage. Choose a different contract. Let manners be armor, not bait. Speak less so your words weigh more. Decline more so your yes buys more. Carry your past like a scar that warns, not a wound that leaks. Keep your circle small and your scoreboard honest. Reward team members who exit bad rooms. Hold the line and deliver quietly. The culture you build becomes the etiquette you wear. When the itch to be liked pulses, touch the dashboard and count results. When the fear of exclusion bites, read the thresholds and keep your seat. When the humiliation echo rings, run the minute, then answer in proportion, or not at all. The point is not to be stone. The point is to be sovereign. Be scarce, be steady, be silent, then move only when it serves the result. Power is etiquette under heat. You enter a room and the room measures you, not by your heart, but by your control. When emotion takes the leash, manners become accidents, sloppy entrances, jokes without framing, corrections that bruise your own side. You think you are being honest. They think you are unstable. The market prices what it sees, not what you mean. A leader who can dress his fire is trusted with tinder. A leader who spills it is watched like an open flame. Leakage starts small. It is midnight, you are tired. And a late apology post feels noble, raw, long, and full of feelings you wish someone would understand. You publish. 5 minutes later, a rival captures the screen before you can edit the last paragraph. By morning, your humble reflection is a circulating artifact stripped of context. One heated thread, one exhale too public, is no longer a moment. It is a brand. Screens do not forget. People do not reread. They forward. The cost is not the mockery. It is the redistribution. Your words metastasize into decks, summaries, and whispers that arrive before you do. An assistant sends your thread to a committee chair with the neat subject line, background. A vendor's lawyer files it as leverage. A cautious ally screenshots it just in case. The pile grows. Your apology was intended to close a door. It propped a window. Impulsive decorum looks like character. It trades like collateral. You try to patch with speed. Another post. A clarifying reply. A space for real talk. In your mind, you're repairing. In theirs, you are dripping. Every new sentence teaches them you will break containment when you feel cornered. Etiquette, when driven by emotion, becomes a broadcast schedule, a predictable leak at the hour of fatigue. Opponents plan around your clock. They wait for the time you cannot resist yourself. Then the hierarchies confuse. You correct a friend in public because you want standards. You protect a foe in private because you want peace. The order flips, and your map rots. Allies do not object to correction. They object to humiliation. A quick actually in a meeting cuts deeper than you think. It implies dispensability. Meanwhile, the opponent who deserved the firm public boundary receives a soft DM and a second chance. The room learns your rules are seasonal. Observe the drift. A loyal partner stops volunteering risk. A deputy begins routing sensitive items around you to avoid being cleaned up on stage. Neutrals smell a discount if they wait. You will bargain against yourself to undo the sting of last night's tone. Opportunists gather where signals blur. They speak gently in public and punish in private, the inverse of you and the crowd mistakes that for professionalism. Etiquette is a currency. When you underprice yours, others flip it for profit. This decay is forensic, not mystical. Public shots at friends convert internal confidence into external caution. Private mercy toward foes converts deterrence into appetite. The ledger updates. Allies ask for written commitments where a handshake once sufficed. Neutrals lengthen timelines. Enemies coordinate pressurized moments. They bait a quip, you quip. They memorialize the quip as policy. Mixed signals lower your leverage because leverage lives in expectations. When expectations say anything could happen, the premium you once commanded evaporates. Watch modern examples. A founder jokes on stage without framing. A sponsor hears contempt. A press clip hears confession. Engineers hear "we are a punchline." The team spends a week smoothing feathers you ruffled for free. A candidate corrects a loyal organizer on a live stream. Volunteers don't quit, they just stop staying late. A manager publicly teases a friend in a way that belongs to private trust. HR logs the moment. The friend stops taking the hardest problems to you. The coalition does not fracture loudly, it cools. Now institutional memory writes the sentence about you. Organizations have no time for novels. They buy slogans: unreliable, cheap access, loud but light. These phrases are cruel because they are efficient. They travel faster than you can repair, stapled to your name in inboxes and calendar notes. A coordinator sees your meeting and moves it to 4:45, the slot of reduced faith. A procurement team adds a new step called stability review. The label becomes the file. The file becomes the route your requests must take. You improve. You deliver cleanly for 6 weeks. The sentence does not budge. To erase it, you would need 6 months of boredom and 3 public wins that benefit others more than you. Even then, some rooms will keep the old tag because it costs nothing to doubt and something to change a story. Understand this: institutions conserve energy. They prefer cheap filters to expensive reevaluations. Your etiquette, when rule-based, gives them a reason to invest again. Your etiquette, when emotional, gives them a reason to automate you out. So you must govern yourself by protocol, not mood. Etiquette, in power, is not politeness. It is logistics. Decide entrances in advance. If the room is hot, your first line is always short, framing, and above the waterline. No jokes until the temperature drops. Decide exits. When attacked, you step out privately to the decision channel, not onto the stage with a flourish. Decide corrections. Praise in public, correct in private, unless principle demands spectacle. And when it does, you script the spectacle with economy and aim once. Build guardrails. After 9 p.m., no public contrition or context. If you must apologize, do it once, sober, with restitution attached, not interpretation. Appoint a countersigner for outbound words during conflict. Their job is to remove heat and have length. Keep a first principles card in your pocket. 3 sentences that frame your stance so every joke, every aside, every correction lives underneath a roof. These are not chains. These are handles. With handles, allies can carry you through storms. Repair requires a new arithmetic. For every public sting you delivered to a friend, deliver 2 private dignities before you ask them to stretch. For every private softness you extended to a foe, draw 1 public line the next time their appetite returns. Let the room relearn the hierarchy. Allies safe, neutrals respected, enemies clear. Ritualize public warmth. Name contributions, anchor credit, and make silence do the cutting work where possible. Being feared is expensive. Being legible is cheaper and lasts longer. Accept that some capital is gone. Pay the tuition by becoming inhumanly consistent. Your entrances become clean. Your jokes arrive inside a frame that signals respect. Your corrections land off stage with speed and receipts. Over time, the sentence about you becomes too costly to keep because every interaction contradicts it. Committees are lazy until the budget demands precision. Your consistency makes precision profitable. Finally, remember why etiquette matters, not to please the room, but to steer it. Manners are levers, jokes are tools, corrections are instruments. When emotion drives, tools become weapons you use on your own structure. When rules drive, tools become bridges others trust to cross. Your identity is the sum of repeated signals under stress. Choose them in advance and you will arrive with gravity instead of glare. Enter clean. Frame the room, correct in private, move once. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. It was never love. It was a ledger. Respect is arithmetic. You make visible, predictable benefit plus predictable penalty. When people can calculate what they gain by working with you and what it costs to cross you, the room steadies. When either number is vague, you drown in mood and gossip. Put dignity on a ledger and balance it in public light. Begin with predictable benefit. You reduce risk on contact. You show up inside the arrival window you announced. You return decisions within the day you promised. You send notes that are brief, accurate, and stamped with the next action. Clients learn that a question to you becomes clarity in 24 hours. Teammates learn that a handoff to you comes back cleaner than it left. Your usefulness is timed, not teased. Now pair it with predictable penalty. Calm, posted, and boring. Miss a commitment and the scope narrows next cycle. Break the speaking order and you speak last for the rest of the month. Disrespect a colleague and your access key downgrades 1 tier. Pay late and work halts until funds clear. Plus the written fee. No fury, no speeches. A toll gate does not argue. It charges by the second enforcement. The room enforces itself for you. Examples carve the numbers into habit. A vendor delivers short and asks for grace. You pull the contract, invoke the make good clause, and schedule a rework window that displaces their place in the queue. They apologize. More importantly, they do not repeat the stunt, or a manager lobs jokes that land as cuts. You pause the meeting, restate the standard, and dock their place in the next review rotation. The group exhales. Etiquette applied as architecture restores oxygen. Shift from personality to policy. Charm is a candle. Wind loves candles. Policy is a lighthouse. Storms respect it. Start with arrival windows. 10 minutes early to 5 minutes after is the gate. After that, you observe without restarting what has begun. Publish the rule and follow it yourself. Then set speaking order. Owner sets aim, data speaks, dissent is invited, decision lands, owner closes. This rhythm prevents ambush and rewards preparation. Set a feedback cadence. Weekly pulse for course corrections. Monthly review for patterns and pay. Quarterly deep dive for strategy and resourcing. The cadence is a metronome that keeps the band in time. Escalation steps come next. Friendly reminder, written expectation with date, reassign or remove access. Replace, everyone knows the staircase before they step on it. Confidence becomes the byproduct of routine. Keep records, like a mercenary accountant. Decision log, date, choice, owner, deadline, risk, countermeasure, action, register, task, who, when proof. A dispute tries to bloom. You open the book, Memory stops being a theater of emotion. It becomes a list. In time, your policies wear your name like armor. You become predictable the way the tide is predictable, not soft, certain. Let symbols do the talking. Seating is choreography, not ego. You take the chair with view of the door and the board. Your deputy to the right. The operator within line of sight. Presenters sit near the decision line. Observers sit back. The map teaches the mission without a word. Introductions follow achievement, then role, then name. She cut churn by 12%. She leads retention. Rank reads as contribution, not ornament. Handshake length matters. 2 beats, firm, then release. Enough to register attention, not enough to announce hunger. In a remote world, the handshake becomes your greeting line. 1 crisp sentence that sets tone and time. We have 40 minutes, we will leave with 3 decisions. Email brevity is a blade. Subject lines carry verbs and dates. Bodies are 3 lines, context, decision, next step. You remove the cushions where excuses hide. Deadlines wear a uniform. 1 time zone, 1 date format. Document title stamped with version and day. A missed date triggers the posted consequence. Never a public flogging. You teach the room that your standard is not sharp mood. It is smooth stone. Those who run well slide forward. Those who drag feel the grain. Minimal signals travel far. We keep 1 jacket for decisive rooms, 1 notebook for commitments, 1 phrase to close, decision entered. You arrive a minute before the start, place your tools, and begin at the mark. You leave when the decision lands. Lingering invites renegotiation by charm. Absence can be a symbol too when standards slip. You withdraw access until the room recalls the cost of your presence. Watch what happens. The loudest voice grows quieter. The late grow punctual. The casual learn to prepare. Meetings shrink because repetition dies. Emails shrink because decisions live where they were made. People do not have to love you. They have to budget you. Predictable benefit plus predictable penalty, carried by policy and spoken by symbols, becomes etiquette as architecture. That structure births credibility. Confidence accrues like interest on disciplined capital. Do not sell your soul for liking when you can purchase respect with design. Build the room, price the choices, post the signs, and let the math rule the mood. Those who need to be charmed will leave. Those who need to win will align. You will sleep, not because the world is kind, but because your world is governed. Be reliable, be legible, be expensive to defy. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. The room reads you before it hears you. Power etiquette is not politeness. It is the choreography of incentives. Each move you make changes the price of attention, access, and time. You will enter, sit, speak, ask, correct, deny, reward, and exit with intent, because in every room the crown belongs to the one who governs sequence. You do not chase approval, you design behavior. Your code is a contract with consequence attached. Entrance and presence. Dress 2 notches above the room average. Clean lines, no noise. 1 symbol of authority that photographs well. Arrive 3 to 5 minutes early. Never earlier. You are not waiting around to be used. Phone face down, not absent. The signal is discipline, not scarcity of tools. On the first greeting, you give steady eye contact and say the other person's name before your own. Good morning, Farah. Your bag or folder has a visible order. Pen, notebook, printed agenda. Incentive. People invest in those who look already invested. Cost for sloppiness. Your rate drops before you speak. Checklist, 2-minute mirror scan. Lint-free jacket. Calendar visible. Breathing slow. Script at the door if someone blocks you with chatter. I have 3 minutes before we start. What's the most useful thing I can give you now? You reward focus. You choose your seat like a general placing artillery. If the decider sits center line, claim the adjacent angle with clear sight lines to the clock and the screen. If the decider is remote, position where the camera loves your face. Never anchor at the far end unless you intend to watch, not shape. Lay out 1 sheet, not a stack. Incentive proximity to decisions increases your chance of steering without extra words. Cost for bad placement. You fight acoustics and attention. Presence is the quiet tax you charge the room. Speaking order and brevity. Ask 1 framing question, state 1 outcome, assign 1 next step. Cap remarks at 90 seconds, unless invited further. Your opening line is a door, not a maze. Is the goal speed or certainty today? Then you give the result you can deliver. We can ship a pilot by the 20th with 2 known risks. Then you assign the next step. Ali captures the risks. Hannah drafts the mitigation. I confirm budget by 4 p.m. Incentive. You buy future talk time by giving clarity now. Cost for wandering, your mic shrinks. Checklist, timer on watch. 3 bullets on card, verb first sentences. Script when interrupted. I'll finish in 15 seconds. Then your question will land better. Or hold that step, 1 finishes in a sentence. You control the tempo without raising your voice. When asked for detail, you give numbers and dates, not feelings. 3 vendors, quotes between 1.8 and 2.1, contract ready Friday. If you need more time, you purchase it with a receipt. I'll return at 3 with 3 options and a preferred choice. Brevity is not stinginess. It is the currency that buys attention for the things that matter. Requests and favors. You request like a contract, clear, deliverable, deadline, and reciprocity. Please send the audit notes by Tuesday, 2 p.m. In exchange, I'll pre-review your grant letter by Wednesday. You keep favors small and fast, under 30 minutes, and you log them. The log is not spite. It is memory that prevents resentment. Incentive. Partners learn that helping you returns value on schedule. Cost for vague asks. The room learns that you consume without paying. Checklist. What, when, why, return. Script for cold introductions. 2 lines on why we fit, 3 slots for a 15-minute call, and how I'll make you look good, ready by tonight. Script for following up a favor. Close the loop, your intro produced a meeting. Here's the thank you paragraph. You can forward. You make generosity compound into leverage. When someone asks you for a favor, you classify strategic, social, or sentimental. Strategic earns a fast yes with a precise scope. Social earns a warm yes with limits. Sentimental earns a kind no with a path. I can't volunteer this month. Here's a donor I'll introduce by Friday. You are helpful without becoming furniture. The ledger stays balanced and clean. Corrections and denials. Correct privately first, publicly second. The private correction is surgical. You interrupted twice. The rule is finish, then questions. Fix it by summarizing before you ask. You end with the next checkpoint. Incentive, people change faster when dignity is preserved. Cost for public scolding as a first move. You create enemies who act polite. If the breach repeats, you move to public clarity without venom. We follow speaking order to protect time. From now on, questions queue through the moderator. Your tone is weather, not thunder. Deny with alternatives and a calm reason. No to the weekend launch. A we pilot Tuesday with 50 users, or B, we push 2 weeks and add payments. Reason risk concentration is unacceptable. You do not say I feel. You say we will and we won't. Anchored to rule and risk. Incentive denial becomes a proof of standards, not a wound. Cost for soft no's. Work returns as chaos. Checklist, A-B choice. Rule cited, next review date. Script when guilt is thrown. I keep promises by not adding new ones. Choose A or B, and I'll back it. Rewards and exits. Praise in daylight. Document in minutes. Credit is theater. Make it play. Aisha's brief cut our decision time in half. Model that format. Then anchor it in the record. Minutes reflect the name, the action, the impact. Incentive, you teach the market what to sell you. Cost for hidden praise. Loyalty. Leaks. End meetings on time. Schedule is a promise you keep in public. As the clock hits, you exit with a summary line. Decisions captured, owners assigned, next checkpoint, Tuesday 10 a.m. You stand, you shake hands with intention, and you leave without backpedaling chit-chat. That handshake signals closure, firm, 2 beats, eye contact. It ends the scene cleanly, so the next scene starts strong. Exiting conversations on the floor, you use the same code. I'm on a deadline, walk me to the door with 1 request. Or send me the 2 bullets, I'll reply at 3. Incentive, you turn hallway ambushes into structured asks. Cost for lingering, you become public property. Your exit is a bridge, not a disappearance. Effects compound when incentives and costs are clear. You enter like time is money. You speak like decisions are freight to be delivered, not stories to be admired. You request like a trader and return value like a clock. You correct with dignity and deny with doors. You reward in sunlight and exit with the room still neat. The code does not make you stiff. It makes you predictable in ways that invite trust and caution at the same time. People know what you will tolerate and what you will end. Your presence becomes a living policy. Over weeks, the etiquette becomes self-policing. The room starts dressing up to meet you. Questions become crisp to earn your attention. Favors flow with timestamps. Corrections land without bitterness because mercy came first. Denials carry less drama because options are always offered. Rewards motivate the middle to become the exemplary. Exits end arguments before they start. You do not need to raise your voice. The code raises your price. Enter clean, speak short, pay fair, end on time. You do not wait for calm. You make calm profitable. When people can predict you, they start planning with you instead of against you. The noise loses leverage. The room clears. Your answers are not a surprise attack. They are a posted schedule. You become the person others can invest in because the terms are visible and the enforcement is real. This is quiet authority. No theatrics, no sermons, only rules that hold. The quiet dividend arrives first in your calendar. It breathes. Offers come that already fit your standards because your standards are public. A founder writes that she wants your advice on Tuesday at 9 because that is when you take calls and when you have taken them for a year. A recruiter sends 2 candidates, not 20, because the criteria you reward are written in plain language. Punctual, precise, unexcitable under stress. A vendor proposes fair terms before you negotiate because your last 3 contracts were clean and paid on time. Friends ask for introductions with context and a deadline because they know you respond to clarity, not to pressure. Strong allies drift toward you the way ships aim for reliable harbors. They value the lighthouse more than tales of daring captains. Inside the team, the same dividend compounds. Weekly reviews occur on the same morning. Decisions are logged in the same file. Permissions and budgets follow the same spine. You remove the detective work from daily life. Fewer arguments, faster agreements, clearer rooms. The meeting ends earlier because the rails are already set, and nobody argues with rails. People stop guarding their backs and start guarding the mission. You stop being a character in other people's drama and become a platform for their best work. Order is not a cage, it is a bridge. It lets talent cross the river without drowning in gossip. Mercy with memory keeps this structure human without turning it soft. You forgive once in private, where dignity can breathe. A colleague misses a deadline. You call them in, not out. You lay out the facts, not the rumors. You agree on restitution, a revised timeline, a trade of responsibilities, a checkpoint date, and you sign it in writing. You thank loyalty in public, because sunlight grows what you want more of. You name the engineer who saved the deployment. You credit the assistant who kept the board packet flawless. Praise becomes a signal, not a favor. But you keep notes on patterns. You do not nurse grudges. You maintain a ledger. When the same failure repeats, you act without malice and without delay. This is not anger. This is sanitation. People feel safer when consequences are predictable and private, and safety produces performance. Your restraint is not weakness. It is design. You separate the person from the pattern. You open a path back once. You close the path if the pattern refuses to change. Your mercy teaches. Your memory protects. This pairing, grace with edge, changes how people approach you. They bring bad news early. They offer repair instead of excuses. They learn your language, calm, specific, scheduled. You harvest trust without spending your temper. And because the rules are fair, the loyal become missionaries. They carry your standards outward, and the world meets a consistent brand of justice. Live by the code. Imagine a steady corridor through noise. Outside, phones ring like rain on metal roofs. Rumors knock, panic searches for an unlocked door. Inside the corridor, entrances are measured, everything passes through a gate. Agenda, owner, deadline, exits are clean, decision recorded, next step assigned, time stamped. Each lantern along the wall is a ritual, morning list, midday review, end of day audit, weekly reset. You walk that corridor the same way a captain walks the deck, eyes forward, feet steady. The storm can scrape the windows, it cannot unfasten the beams. You uphold 3 disciplines. Position first, choose where to stand before the crowd arrives. Control flows, route information and resources along rails that can carry weight without drama. Maintain peace. Keep your rituals on clear days so you do not rehearse chaos when clouds gather. Confidence settles into the air like weather. People adjust to you because adjustment pays. The court quiets, deals move, work compounds. You did not beg for respect. You priced it. You did not chase allies. You attracted them. You did not perform strength. You structured it, live by the code, and let the noise pay the toll to reach you. Calm by design, power by rule.